feeding men for 2 days only on half rations. This scarcity must have been frightening on top of his lack of heavy artillery. It meant that he must somehow seize the fortress and commandeer its provisions within 2 days. A siege was out of the question. To bypass Ghazni and march on towards Kabul, the capital, was impossible too, because Dost Mahommed, the ruler he was to depose, had an army in the field somewhere ahead. Keen could not risk leaving another army behind him in the fortress, ready to stream out and attack him in the rear directly he engaged Dost Mahommed. Nor could he retreat with rations for but 2 days across country where he would face continual attacks. These facts must have hounded and oppressed General Keen appallingly as he rode with his staff officers towards the crest of the last hill that overlooked the fortress, where he would be able to judge of its strength for himself and put to the test the alleged friendship of its inhabitants. A heavy, somewhat dropsical man who rode his horse badly, Sir John Keen was commanding the Anglo-Indian army of the Indus. It had been formed at the word of Lord Auckland, Governor-General of India, to invade Afghanistan, the wildest and, from the military point of view, the most difficult country in southern Asia. Keen's objectives were the overthrow of the present ruler, Dost Mahommed Khan, and his replacement on the throne by Shah Shuja-ool-Mulk, a former king whom the Afghans had expelled some years before. When Keen reached the crest of the last rise, the fortress burst into view a mile or two away. It looked formidable, with its fortifications rising up, as it were, on the side of a hill, noted Major Huff, who was at Keen's side. Keen, through his telescope, could see the massive fortifications, about 70 feet high, built on a steep mound about 120 feet high, surrounded by a wide moat, a very much bigger and stronger place than had been put to him by Captain Thompson, his engineer, and in good repair. No record exists of what Keen said to Brigadier Stevenson and Captain Thompson at that moment, but neither by nature nor habit was he inclined to control his feelings. The scene must have been an explosive one. His only hope was that the Afghans in the fortress would turn out to be friendly, or could be bribed to be. If not, it would certainly seem that he and his army were doomed. And at that moment hope returned. One of the political officers, Sir Alexander Burnes, said in a message to Keen that he had just learned that the Afghans had completely abandoned the fortress. This was strange news from the very man who earlier had insisted that they would stay and welcome the British, but there was a chance it could prove true, and Keen rode with his staff on towards the orchards and gardens that lay on the plain at the foot of the hill, about a mile from the fortress. But when they were about 600 yards from the gardens, this hope too vanished in sudden puffs of smoke, followed by sharp reports and the slow whistle nearby of almost spent bullets. Hardly likely action from a friendly or from an abandoned fortress. It must have been a very unhappy moment for Keen. He had allowed himself to be talked into treating the occupation of Ghazni as an insignificant episode in the military promenade, which Lord Auckland, the Governor-General of India, had light-heartedly called the entire invasion. Now he was faced by a massive fortress which he had no guns powerful enough to breach, which he was unable to mine owing to the surrounding moat, which was impossible for his infantry to scale, and to which he couldn't lay siege because he had only 2 days' food supply. Chapter 2. Startling though General Keen's incompetence is, far from being singular, it is part of a pattern of political and military ineptitude in the conduct of this war that is almost beyond belief. Afghanistan was, and probably still is, one of the hardest countries to invade in the world. In all directions it is ribbed by high mountain ranges cut by narrow passes. Most of its surface is mere rock, and though the mountain valleys are very fertile, only about 5% of the total surface is cultivable. It is hot in summer and intensely cold in winter. In the first half of the 19th century there were no roads, only narrow stony tracks made during centuries by the feet of animals and men.